that's got a much of his history. No, you're wrong. My history goes back to the mind of God.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we have our family podcast. It's Big Sam and Nephews. We have a panel of guests, of course. And of course, I want to say this real quick, people. Please subscribe to this podcast. It's a weekly podcast, and we do it every Sunday. Except for when we don't. This week coming up, we won't do it on. Next week we won't do it on Saturday, but we'll deal with that. But anyway, it's a weekly podcast. I've got several guests on my show, our panel of guests. It's a sports podcast, but we do wander off into other subject matters, and that's fine with us. But please subscribe, Big Sam and Nephews. Javier, Kerry, my nephew, my nephew. My other nephew is Parker. He's not on today. He called me and texted me and said he was on a flight, I guess, of the death of the family, and he's in New Orleans, so he's coming back to Atlanta. And also on the panel is Tom Bandelier. Pastor Bandelier. Tom?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, just want to know you're here. I'm introducing you. Yeah, I've got. See, Tom I've known for about 27 years, roughly. Tom was actually the longest standing chaplain for the Minnesota Timberwolves back in the day. Also on the panel is Nathan Marlow, who's a good friend of mine, old friend of mine, who lives up in Sacramento. I am out in California. Also, Tyland Ward is on our as one of our other guests on the show too.
He's the other nephew, Uncle. He's the other nephew.
Present, yeah, Uncle. Hey, yeah.
He's the other nephew. Just FYI. What up, cousin?
What up, cuz? What's going on, man? We in this thing.
So anyway, that's my panel that comes on. We talk about sports and a wide range of other topics that come up. So today, Tom picked the subject that we're going to talk about, politics today. So go for it, Tom. Oh, one more thing. I am Big Sam.
Oh, thank you for introducing yourself.
Let's clarify that.
Let's see who Big Sam is. Big Sam is Samuel Williams.
He's the guy with the 49ers cap on. Thank you, Sam.
Right.
Finally, stop wearing that other stuff, man. Golly, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Jeez.
Hey, I got the proper attire on today, okay, people?
Right.
We're gonna clap for you. Everybody clap. Clap.
Good. All right, Sam. Good.
Niners hat on. I represent the Niners and the Raiders, both of them. People are like, well, I said no. I can root for both those teams. You know, my cousin. Go for it.
The big game is in Vegas.
Yes.
So I guess your Raiders are represented.
Are you trying to help me to put my money on?
No, don't gamble. I don't gamble.
Well, I'm not going to gamble, but you're wearing the hat that it sends a
message.
Signal.
Yeah. I got you.
Right.
We were talking.
Pastor, Pastor Tom, you were talking about this being Black History Month, and you know that certainly everybody's history means more than whatever can be shown or represented or demonstrated in 1 month. I think it's nice that that considering some of the not so nice things that have happened in the past, and how certain histories were either just totally eliminated or changed, that there is some point and there was some portion of the year where certain subcategories, certain people are sort of paid attention to and admired. But what do you think about Black History Month, Pastor?
Well, I grew up with a Black History Week, and then of course they took it to a month. I thought when I was growing up that it was worthwhile noting because we were unnoticed. But I'm a biblical, not a scholar, but I read it and try to digest it. And that's why I said at the beginning of the show, my history dates back more than a week or a month. And I think especially for us, and I'm talking about people of color that's from the African shores, you have to, there is a, let me get up a moment and come back and explain what I'm talking about, because this is awesome. When you really look at our history, it is fantastic.
Yes,
They're trying to wipe it out now, but
yes,
history is a series of events that is told over and over again. So now nobody wants to acknowledge that we have a history, but we have an immaculate, great history. In fact, historically, we had the first university, Timbuktu.
Yep.
So, and the pyramids, which is located in Africa, of course, is Egypt,
Right.
but they still don't know how they built them.
Right.
And this is miraculous. Now we got all this technology which works, but did you know that in these huge arenas 2,000 years ago, people could stand at the bottom of the arena and talk a natural voice, and you could hear people. They could hear up in the what we call the nosebleed session.
Right.
How we lost that technology? I think we lost it to money, really, when microphones came out.
Okay.
I know they did away with that science, but
Right.
that's awesome science, and it's built into the White House because we built it.
Right.
I saw that. I was going to say that I know that there's a spot in one of the chambers of the House.
Yes.
Where you can sit in one spot and you can hear what everybody's saying within about 15 or 20 feet or something.
Yeah.
And there was an old senator or congressman. I said it's part of the tour. The curator will tell you all about it. This guy insisted on having I want my old seat back. He was either the congressman or a senator. I want my old seat back. And so he got his seat back. I don't know where he went to lose it in the first place. But then they figured out why. I think after he was dead and gone, maybe he told him at the end of his life, he could hear what everybody was plotting, what the plans, sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
So it does exist, and I think that. Well, I don't know if somebody built it that way on purpose, just that one spot, or if it was just an acoustical anomaly or something.
No, it was built into it. If you in DC, if you look on the edge of the buildings, you see a lot of African markings on the edge of those buildings.
Yep. Yeah, we just when I was in DC last month I was there and I was showing my wife and my daughter. We go to the museums. We go to to the to Capitol Hill. Took them around to a lot of different places. And since I used to live in DC, I kind of got a lot of the history living there. Which people, if you go to DC, they will give you the history, which is awesome. Like even if it's bad, you think that white people, they're not going to tell the truth. Nah, DC is one place where they start let you know, nah, this was built by this, and so that's one of the places that I found out when I used to live there as a young kid or teenager, when they started, like you say, the markings and all that, and I was like, oh man, it was amazing. It was just like, you know, it's one of those places where you could look at it, and I was just telling my wife, I was like, we're driving, coming across right on the Potomac, coming by the Kennedy Center, and I was like, over there is Virginia. Virginia is a slave state. Washington D.C., Maryland is not a slave state. I was like, do you know what our ancestors would be like just to even try to get here to cross over this place? You're talking about 100 miles that people had to go, and that seemed like a lifetime just to go 100 miles to get to freedom. I mean, it still wasn't free, but you was more free than, the slave catchers before. You could at least get away from the slave catchers. So
yeah, I'll be back in a moment.
So that was one of those things that's amazing, about DC and the acoustics. Like you said, the acoustics. I've been in those places, and it's like, wow,
Right.
I mean, hell, Shakespeare built something like that too. His theater was built like that. Matter of fact, the Ford Theater is built like that too. So.
Yeah, it's too bad. The original Globe burned down. They rebuilt it. They made a replica, but it's in a different spot,
right?
And it's not the original. But yeah, it was good to see what it used to look like. Yeah, I'm an American. I'm happy to be an American. I love this country. That doesn't mean I think it's perfect, right? But I've asked myself this question many times. What do you think? It seems like historically, and even now to some degree, there's Black men in particular are reviled. And I just wonder why. I mean, why start that way? Like so much hatred or just, make them slaves and hang them when you feel like it or mistreat them. What motivated a very small segment of the population to respond that way? Yeah, I know. Yeah, slavery was very, very profitable. You could work somebody all their teenagers probably to 75 years old. You could work them for nothing. You want to pay them, and you got his kids and you got his grandkids and all this. So it's profit. But how did it start? What made it okay in the minds of a few, that wasn't the majority of the population, to treat other human beings that way? Is it because we weren't viewed as human beings, or, well, at the end, just means, or what?
I think it's fear. I think America is built on fear, and I think that's one of the most powerful tools in manipulation is fear. And I think that's how they were able to get us, because if you think about Africa, where they brought most of the slaves from, we were really naive, what I'm saying? Because we were a loving people, what I'm saying? Like we didn't, one tribe being close to another tribe, we didn't infiltrate that other tribe, what I'm saying? We coexisted with each other. We're the first species to be able to do all that, right? So when you bring us here, now you got this society of people teaching us hate. You know what I'm saying? You got to hate your other man. You got to hate this other guy. You got to hate all that. And not only that, you better fear us because we're gonna enslave you. We're gonna take your wives. We're gonna take your children. If you don't do what we say, we're gonna beat you. And for us to be naive, that's the only way for them to manipulate us. Because look at how strong we were. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I see pictures of men that they had on the block selling, and I'm looking at these guys like, man, dude can take 10, 15 of them dudes right there, but they're just so scared because that fear has been put inside of them so strong in their head that we just were naive to fall for it, man. And it was, it was a bad day for us, man, a bad time for us, man. But now we're learning that. And like one of the things that I don't like is that everyone in the society still pushes us down. They don't want us to have our power, because like if you look at it, every woman can call themselves queen, but when men call themselves king, there's a revolt. You know what I'm saying? People got a problem with it, right? You know what I'm saying? But women can be queens, but men can't be kings. Black men can't be kings.
That is from the conditioning of the women
Yep.
towards men.
Yep.
And if a black man says that, especially now, oh my, they don't want to hear that. But you're right, Tyland. I'm gonna tell you, as a black man, I don't fear any.
Oh, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, yeah. I can't hear nobody.
Turn your volume up, sir. Damn, come on, youngin. You supposed to be on the.
Oh, man. I hit something. I must have hit something.
Hey, you doing the uncle move right now, man. Yeah, just take himself off the show. Damn, dog. Come on, Simon.
It's your show, Sam.
He took himself off last week. Like, I don't know what I did. Okay, go ahead, Uncle. My bad. Stop touching buttons.
I don't touch any buttons. No. What happens is you gotta remember it's fear on their part, because why else would they chain you up? And I imagine that it was fear on our part. And I'm just guessing as slaves, they were fearful of what the master was going to do to them. But I say this to say that going back in history, now the Holocaust was a devastating crime. What the Germans did to the Jewish people was horrendous.
It was.
That was horrendous, right? Go back in time. What they did to the slaves, horrendous act. So my point is that those are all not just they were acts that were horrendous toward the Jewish people, but there were acts that were horrendous toward the black people. But then you can come back a little more in time. Look at what they did to the Mexican American. Look what they did to Native Americans.
Right.
They here and they stole. They gave them liquor and tobacco, and they stole the country from them.
Yep.
The same thing they did to Mexican Americans. They said up here, I'm living in a state now.
That is Mexico.
Mexicali.
But I'm gonna tell you, they are taking it back because I'm gonna just use the town. I live in Fresno, California, right? 50%, 56% of the population is Hispanic.
Right.
Oh yeah.
California, as of about 3.5 years ago, there is no majority. A majority is like 51% or more than 50%. 50.1% is a majority, right? There's not, California doesn't have a majority anymore. It's actually the dominant population out here, the dominant demographic are Latinos, right? It's like 2 years ago, it's like 39.9% to 39.5% of Caucasian or something, and we don't make up much. Black folks are like 13% of the state, just like we're about 13% of the country.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of going back, to its original owners.
See what?
But then again, I mean, they're still America and they are American. So I don't know that anybody's losing anything, but it's just that almost naturally, almost organically, that is the dominant population and probably one day it will be the
better learn Spanish.
I mean, I'm cool, and I'm cool with that. I think some of the issue is that we are looking at, well, I would say white America, their fear. So their fear is like when the Reconstruction came, right? So we'll take that point. So the fear when Reconstruction came was, hey, look, we're voting now. We have land and power. We had everything. For those 5 to 10 years of Reconstruction, we had everything. We were prospering. We were doing things that the average white man couldn't do. So that in turn turned themselves into, started getting the Jim Crow laws, starting getting all these other laws in place for after slavery. So that I think that started that downward spiral again, where they were like, no, we got to keep you got to keep us down, because I think their fear is like, if someone other than them gets in power, we're gonna do to them what we have been done to us. So if you think about it, you can't let a Hispanic into power. You can't let
Right.
a native. You have to kill the Native Americans off, like
Right.
100, like
And
1000%. You had to kill them off.
I forgot to mention when the Japanese, when Pearl Harbor hit, what did they do in California?
It was just it was Asians. It was Asians. Period. It was Chinese and Japanese.
Right. Asians, they locked them up, and so
they deep. Can't lock them up. They deep.
Yeah.
California
is deep.
Just an immersion to me of many different nationalities. Because I've lived in Minnesota, I've lived in Minnesota. Now Minnesota is about 4%, black is what I think it is, 4% across the board.
I like that. Yep.
So
Sam, it's about 7% statewide, but 4% of those are in prison.
Damn.
Yeah, we're not even talking about the prison industrial system.
That's
we're
crazy,
not even talking about that.
That's crazy.
Like you can't even mention, like, okay, so my story is I caught a felony when I was 19 years old, something like that, and I was facing like 15 years or whatever. But I got off. I did my little thing, graduated college, blah blah blah.
A couple of weekends.
No, hey man, they tried, bro.
You didn't get the weekend? You got off then.
I got off. But think about how hard it is now for young brothers who get caught up with a felony who did 1 to 2 years that they can't even get their record expunged right now. And
No,
they're 35, 40 years old.
The young brothers are hijacking cars now.
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely. What I'm saying is,
I'm gonna tell you what. Now there are brothers out here committing crimes, though.
Everybody committing crimes. Hey, everybody's committing crimes. Everybody's committing crimes. That's definitely beyond the point.
But the law is set up to punish crimes that we do at a higher. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I would agree with that.
That's, you know what I mean. That's a urban neighborhood thing. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get punished. You're gonna get a felony for that, but you insider trading. You know what I'm saying?
You good?
Laundering money.
Yeah, you want to steward that thing. You're
gonna get about 3-4 years in the feds, and that's it. You know what I mean?
In a level 1 yard.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about?
We go to this level 7 yard.
What do you guys think about, like, the reasoning, the rationale? I've thought about this for a long time, about the question that I asked initially, like, what was the catalyst to being treated so just instantly dehumanized in the way we're perceived? The second part of that question is looking at our Jewish brothers and sisters. Somebody mentioned the Holocaust a few minutes ago. I think I have an answer for this. And a Jewish friend of mine, she grew up Christian and married a brilliant Jewish man while they were both in law school, right? And she converted to Judaism. And I asked her, and she's quite brainy, right? Why were the Jewish people persecuted? What was the real reason, right? The real reason behind, like, the Holocaust kind of thing, right? I think I have a pretty good, she didn't come back with this answer, but I still stick to this, what I think is the real reason. Why do you guys think, for instance, since we're talking about atrocities and wrongdoings, what do you guys think was the reason for the Holocaust?
Chosen people.
No,
I think I think the Jewish people they've always claimed to be the chosen people by God.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
think that, you know what I'm saying? Like that really pissed the Germans off, especially Hitler. Hitler wanted to let them know, no, you are not chosen by God. You know, you are not God's favorite people. We're gonna show you why.
Ironically, didn't Hitler have some?
Hitler was Jew. Hitler was Jew too.
He was
Right.
one of his grandparents was
Right.
Jewish.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So I mean, we'll like I'll say that because everybody says that Jews being Jewish is an ethnicity, and it's not. It's definitely not. It's a religion, right? But
Things.
these we are talking about European Jews. We're not talking about Arab Jews. So
Right.
Arab Jews, I think, are different. Who caught hell? Like the Jews who caught hell were the ones in Europe. And
Right.
some of the reason why is it goes down to the politics, and it goes down to and they were being persecuted before this, but it goes down to the politics of what was happening inside these kingdoms. And these are talking about kingdoms. So these are when kings and queens were around before that. So this before that. And so they practiced. So in the Catholic Church, you couldn't charge interest. Right? So interest is not allowed in any religion, no matter what. Interest is not allowed. No matter if you're Muslim, Christian, Jew, it's not allowed. But the Jews came back, so the Catholic Church said, look, we can't charge interest on taxes, on things like that. So then they came back and said, well, if you guys want to make money, you guys can control the banking. This is why they started getting good in the banking system, because they were always good with money. Cool, not a big thing. They started charging usury, which is interest. By the time that happened, they started taking people's land. Now they're gaining wealth and power.
But they didn't start that, son.
Who started usury?
The Roman, there was Persians and the Romans. They all collected taxes.
They collect taxes, but I'm talking about interest on top of the taxes. I'm talking about interest. So when they had the interest being collected, and the Roman Catholic Church said we can collect taxes. Everybody has taxes.
They ripped everybody off, but we won't talk about that.
Oh, they definitely did. I'm not saying that. But I'm just talking about specifically in this instance why the European Jews, and I'm not saying it's right, because there's innocent European Jews, and we're talking about the 1% of European Jews that were doing these things. But that's some of the reason why a lot of things started happening, where they were catching different little places in Poland, Germany, France, yada yada yada.
I think it was jealousy. I think it was jealousy.
It could have been.
You're talking about a tiny group of people. I think to this day there's like 15, 20 million Jewish people in the world, and something is really low, right? Something like 8 or 9 or maybe 10 million people, Jewish people in Israel. But if you look at it, like there are 800 billionaires in America or the world. I think in the world, and 400 of them are Jewish, right?
Right.
And I've said on the podcast before, the Jewish success principle, but I stopped there. But actually, I would include Asians, especially Northern Asia, but typically all of Asia. Like I'm talking about the kids who I see in class that are just kicking behind, right? They're using education as a way up or a way to maintain. A lot of times their parents became brain surgeons, so I want to be at least a brain surgeon kind of thing, right?
Right.
So they use education, excellence, ownership, become a doctor, a lawyer, or a CEO, right? And I think that when you're successful at that, you're getting that's being reinforced at home. And I'm saying all this for a reason. I'm gonna kick this down. I'll be quick, but I'm gonna I'm a teacher all the time, pretty much, So if any of my kids are listening, guys, take yourself seriously.
It's gonna be a test next week.
It's gonna be a test, right? It's gonna be a test for the rest of your life, in fact, you see. And so, I think that people saw, well, there's 2 reasons that Hitler used. He was jealous. Also, they say that his mother died when he was just a kid, and the doctor was Jewish, and some historians theorize that, well, that guy, he let my mother die, so I hate anybody that's like him, kind of thing. Right, you see, it's his fault. It wasn't his fault, but he was a kid, and that's how he processed it, right?
Right,
Well,
right.
so it was jealousy about, you look up and half the doctors are Jewish and half the lawyers are Jewish and half the business owners are Jewish. And that's only, 5% of the population, but they own and control half of all the big things, right?
Mhm.
And people got jealous and they shouldn't have. But it just means they worked. They worked, they went to school, they did what they had to do to accomplish those positions. Number
Well,
two, and maybe even more so, Hitler was smart enough to use hatred
Yep.
as
Yep.
a way to motivate the people. If I can get the people
Tell you.
without talking about how great I am or what I want to do, if I can get the people to hate these people, they'll feel strong and comfortable in their hatred, and they'll come rally behind me because I've identified their enemy. I've given them an excuse to not be where they want to be in life.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
these people's fault, this kind of thing, right? And guess what? He was right. We saw a very similar playbook very recently here in America. And so I think those are the two reasons. Those are the two, in my opinion, the two primary reasons of the Holocaust.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think
Right.
there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of different factors into the Jewish problem. Is that this is what we called it? I mean, this is what they called it. I never thought it was a Jewish problem, and this is coming, and this is just coming from the European side of history, where it's like, why is it only the European Jews that are having the issue? It's never the issue in
well,
Ethiopia or something like that where there's an issue. So that I don't know. That's a burning question I have too.
Well, the other thing is that you got to look at it. You look at the Jewish people in Jerusalem are cousins to the other people, to the Palestinians.
That's what I'm saying. They're Arabs.
Yeah, they're another, and it's just like that. It just blows my mind every day. But going
well,
back real quick, going back, they've had slaves back in Roman when the
Oh, no
Romans
doubt.
had slaves,
No doubt.
I
No
just
doubt.
watched Gladiator today again.
right? And that's all. So they've always had someone mistreating somebody in society as time has gone on. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
well,
I think the European slaves is the way they treated. I mean, because we could talk about African slaves, we could talk about Saudi Arabian slaves. I think that the form of slavery changed. The slavery didn't change, but the form of slave. So, like in Africa, if you were a slave of a tribe, you were a slave of a tribe for X amount of years. In Saudi Arabia, if you was a slave of a tribe, you could still get married, be prosperous, and have a kid, but it was only like 7 to 8 years, right? That's like
Indentured servitude.
basically
yeah,
right. And so when the Europeans, Portuguese, so you talking about the Portuguese who really kicked it off. So
yeah,
to be honest, the Portugues really
yeah.
kicked it off. It
Well, of
actually,
course, and the Dutch did too.
yeah,
The Dutch,
yeah, the Dutch. So they were all in. So like even in one of the places in London, like you have HC banking, like all these banking were all the banking houses who were loaning the money to do all these little Spanish inquisitions, the Spanish, Portuguese, and the Spanish were actually broke at the time, but they were the ones who were getting the money from it.
Well, you nailed it. It power is money, and money is power.
Yep.
Right. Right.
And I,
And
I
we and
Hey,
on February the 11th, we're going to see it, the full scope of it. When they play that game, you can see the dynamics working. They
right.
got in a board meeting somewhere and said, let's us build a stadium in Vegas. That happened somewhere.
Well, they're gonna gamble.
And well, no,
funny.
I'm going to make a prediction. Texas will become a gambling state in 3 years.
Of course,
Oh
of
yeah.
course they is.
Mark Cuban is heading that up. Just Mark Cuban is heading
well,
this up.
Hey,
He's
after
already bought
hey,
land for it.
Yep. In
hey,
Dallas. In Dallas.
I,
Yep.
hey,
So,
I watch these little trivia shows, man. I seen this little tidbit on this trivia show, man. And it just threw my mind. I was like, it was talking about it said what kind of fabric is money printed on?
Cotton.
and it was cotton.
Cotton, baby.
Cotton.
Washington.
Man, I didn't know that, bro. I was
Yeah,
like,
man.
I'm sitting there like, man, they printing this money on we built the thing. We built United States was built on our backs, and they printing the money with the cotton that we picked. I said, wow,
Like,
y'all
is it
just
still
slapping black men in the
printed on
face.
cotton or
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Cotton,
is.
Yeah.
bro.
well,
They just
man.
straight smacking black people in their face, bro. Every single day, they just smacking us in our face, bro. For real.
It's a
Like,
$20
oh,
bill. You can take a $20 bill and fold it. I don't know how I haven't done it. I mean, but someone said you can take a $20 bill and
yep,
fold it a type of way, and it shows a black person hanging.
yep,
Hanging
Yeah.
yep,
on a $20 bill. I was like,
wow.
wow.
yep.
Folks, I'm just saying what I heard.
Slap us right in the face, bro. They slap us
Yeah.
right in the face, bro.
I mean,
Right, like literally right in the face.
it goes back to a lot of different things in history where we
Hey,
all do certain things. I mean, like the Muslims like to the Madonna, like a lot of the paintings, what they would do because they would take it over to Baghdad because they were in the Dark Ages because they were stupid. But anywho, I digress.
Yes, you did.
But they would take it over to Baghdad. See, people don't know that Baghdad was another institutional capital of the world where you had this is after Timbuktu, there was
Like
Baghdad. You
it was
said,
just like
yeah. So they burned a lot of the stuff, and so they took. So what they would do, they would love their calligraphy, but they never knew what it was saying, and so they were putting Quranic verses inside their pictures, and these are famous pictures, and so they were like, "Oh, this is awesome!" They would put it on their tapestry, and they didn't know what it was happening, but this is what subliminally is like, yo, like, look, y'all dummy, but I'm not saying it like that, but
hey,
like it's been
man.
happening a lot of different ways. Like people go get a Chinese tattoo, and I'm like, bro, I ain't doing that because I don't know what Chinese read. I don't
Know
know.
what it say? Don't
Mm-mm.
even know what it say.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So what do you guys, that's good points. What do you guys think, since we're on the subject, what do you think of the state of let's talk about young Black America. I care about every inch and every aspect of America and its population, from pitch black, from pitch blue black to pale blonde hair, blue eyed. I love them all. I care about them all and everything in between. I want the best for everybody. But what do you think what would be your suggestion on how to convince, to me, the demographic that is in the toughest shape, right? We talked about those prison numbers and being done wrong, all that kind of thing. What do you guys, what would be your suggestion on, if we were starting with the youngsters, what would you say to them, like, to put an end to this kind of thing?
Talk to
Like
well,
talk
the
to Pastor
high
T.
the the
you're going to have to, Nathan. You're going to have to educate these young people to the point of where change your thinking is not just educating yourself, but you can be an educated fool. But
Mhm.
at least educate yourself enough because, as you said before on this show, you can do whatever you want to do in America. And I agree with you, Nathan, 100%. This is the best country in the world. You know why? I have not lived anywhere else but this country. I like this country. I love this country.
So do I.
So
But I think it's perfect. No, I sure like it. I'm glad I was born here and live here.
And
right,
you an American first.
I'm an
right.
American.
Of color
Absolutely.
might be black, but you're an American. You were born here, raised here, and we love this country.
Yep.
Right.
We're,
And
we're,
It's I know. It's what I know as a home,
we're the
Yes.
only
And I've
country. We're the only
been all
country that says, "Are you black?" We're the only country that does that. Like we're literally the only country that we identify a race instead of your ethnicity. So like if you go to London, and I probably said this before, if you ask me, period, like I know I'm half black and I'm half Puerto Rican. I know I'm American and I'm Puerto Rican. But if you say that, if I say somebody, oh well, I'm gonna say, hey, I'm Puerto Rican and black. I'm not saying now in Puerto Rico, you're just Puerto Rican, even though I'm Like there's people that's way darker than me, but like we're the only people. If you go to London
Well,
and you know,
Javier,
yes,
not only that, you know what? On a job application, it'll say African American.
yep,
It won't say American. It'll say you're Hispanic American. You're African.
I think they do that to track the numbers. Like
they try. I don't
yeah,
answer that question. I don't answer that question.
and there's that space like prefer not to say. I see that on. I don't, maybe not a job applicant, but I see that online. If they're asking, you could do a sports survey or something about your favorite team and it'll ask you your age, your like race, your ethnicity, right?
Right.
And at the bottom it'll say prefer not to answer. I think it usually gives that option because they don't want to get in hot water, number one, but or if they accidentally hire a racist, it's something like it could be used against them, or if you want to make sure you keep those numbers down or something, or whatever. I don't know what the rationale is, but I do think that in most cases you have the option of not to answer. But I do believe that they do that here because they want to track, they want to track progress or lack thereof based on demographics.
That's what they say. I don't know.
Well, I think it's a lot of reasons they do that. It still comes down to power and money, whatever we're talking about.
Right.
It comes down to power and money.
Right. Totally agree.
Everything is geared to that. Was it politics or whatever? I mean, I don't know whether you guys ever looked at it. I have. There are some wealthy ministers across the world.
Oh, no doubt.
Minister.
No doubt.
Minister.
I mean, they got money falling out of the, and they're still.
Are we talking about Joel Osteen type money?
Well, I'm not calling any names, but
I did. I'm gonna call it out, man. I'm gonna call it out, man. I'm just saying. We talking about TD Jakes.
He's not the only one. They got a lot of them in Africa.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Super corrupt.
So, but we're only talking about two things here: money and power.
Right.
Money and power.
Money they go build in Africa
they go together. It's a marriage that we can't break up.
Well, that's the reason why the Catholic Church is so prosperous, because guess what? They needed something to control the kings and queens. They said, "Hey, look, we need you to do these taxes, and if you can't, so you were going to war to go fight this, so you could pay the Roman Catholic Church, which is crazy." I'm like, "What are we paying you for, bro? Like, how are you?" It doesn't even make any sense. Again, I'm trying not to be offensive to the Roman people, to the Catholic people, but I'm just gonna tell the truth. I'm just gonna. How is Rome a holy city when Jesus ain't even go there? I'm gonna wait. I need somebody to answer that in the comments. Just let me know.
Well,
I
think we kind of left the big question is, and we got a problem with the youth in America.
Right.
Really deeply a problem, and it's still. I was listening to on TV, and forgot what station it is, but they invited Trump to one of the conservative meetings. I think it's in Carolina to speak. And when they were asking people in the hood, the question came up: what can we do with the young people? And those who were answering the question, they said, well, Mr. Trump is a businessman, and we know our people are suffering for lack of jobs and things like that. And so these guys want businesses like Trump,
right,
which is money.
But Trump has been a failure at every single business.
But we had businesses. We had thriving businesses. In fact, I'm going to tell you guys, I grew up in a community that us had our own stuff. And it was working.
We were forced to have it.
But it was working for us.
But Donald, they're barking up the wrong tree. He is
They didn't
not.
like that. They didn't like that. So they took us out. And then they made laws so they could keep us from having businesses. So now the young people, the young businessmen are saying, Biden didn't do nothing for us, but Trump will. So we are perhaps on the edge of a civil war.
I think
history has a dynamic of repeating itself.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that
I think we'll have a war between women and men before we have another civil war. I think.
Well,
we
may not be, engaged yet, shooting each other.
Yeah.
But
well, no, you're right. You're right about that. But I do think another war is coming. I definitely think the government is pushing that agenda. I definitely think they're pushing that.
Two questions.
You can make money off of having a war.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Two questions. You heard some great points. Who do you think is going to win the election? I do believe it's going to be between Biden and Trump, unless Trump gets convicted.
Trump.
That throws another dynamic into it. Who do you think will win the election? And reference the war between the genders. Do you think that relationships overall between Western, here in the West, here in the country, in the U.S., but do you think that the relationship dynamic can be saved, or mail order brides and passport bros and manosphere and all this kind of thing is it gonna snowball and bigger, and pretty soon just nobody asks it, they get an airplane ticket before they ask anybody out?
Hey, I seen the funniest thing, man. I seen the video dude. He had hey, Javier, I don't know if you seen it. The video dude, he had a little care package, right? He had a little care package. He said, "Yeah, I'm handing this out to all the ladies." You know what I'm saying? When they come to my house, it's like a little Ziploc bag. It's got like some Doritos in there. It's got a little juice box. Got $40. He said, "Yeah, after I'm done with the lady, I told her to grab her little thing." I said, "Man, this is what we got to now."
Yeah,
I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, this is where. But my thing about it is that I think once the women get it, we gonna be good, because they're the standard. Women make the standard, because if the women say, we need this, men have to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
that's why
it's more women. It's more. The women got more power than they think they know.
Man.
I'm like, you guys hold the keys.
Man.
Look, I tell my wife all the time. I was like, you hold the keys to everything that goes
They
on to
could
this
put
house.
anybody in the office.
Bam. Just on them. Just all
on them. Yep.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna go back. You guys are talking about the election. Now, I thought that Trump could not run anymore. I thought they had did away with that.
No, he can run again.
No, that's why they tried to impeach him. That's why the last impeachment they tried to convict him on the last impeachment. If they would have convicted on him on the last impeachment, he wouldn't have been able to run again. That's what they were trying to do. That's what
I think that's what I thought too.
Yeah. It was a certain charge. It was one or two charges that if he would have got impeached, he couldn't run again.
If he had been impeached, he couldn't run anymore.
Yeah.
Well, convicted. An impeachment is an indictment.
Yeah.
But wasn't this last deal where he had to pay the woman $83 million in civil court? Does that make it okay for Trump to run or no?
No, that's just a civil suit. That's not. You're not convicted.
Kobe paid a bunch of money out too. But that don't mean nothing.
Every president that paid some money off.
JFK done played some people out too. Even
I thought that if you had a felony conviction, you couldn't run for that level of office, the Senate, House, the White House. But that's not the case. I think you're right, Javier. It depends on what you were convicted of. Yeah. That's what I.
Aren't they waiting for the Supreme Court to come down with the decision?
Whether Colorado can keep his name off the ballot. That's what they're.
He locked the Supreme Court with his cronies.
Oh yeah, right. Hey, everybody does it. Everybody does it. I'm like, man.
But see, Nate, honestly, that's the reason why I feel like Trump wins and can win, because he's you know, in a sense, he's kind of an everyday American. He's a
Yep.
regular dude. He got a dirty past. See, most politicians go into the game clean. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't find out things about him until they get into office. You know what I'm saying? Trump, he got his dirt. He keep his dirty out there. He come out there clapping. You know what I'm saying? Riding people, telling people, "I'm going to change this. I'm going to do this," and that's America. That's the American dream.
Yeah, how can we ascend to? How can we?
I don't vote for it. I don't vote for it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's almost like how can a regular person, and he's not regular because he came from
not
money.
regular.
He came from money, but how can a regular person? But he's definitely not he's definitely an outsider. So you're talking about most presidents are some kind of way related. Like most presidents.
A lot of them have been. That is true. A lot of them have been related. More than you think.
More than we even know.
Even President Obama has a high level.
He's related to George Bush and them. That's his cousin.
Okay.
That's literally his cousin. His granddaddy, that's Prescott's brother.
Wow.
I'm just saying that don't shoot the messenger.
No, I believe you. Well, so who do you guys? If things stay as they are, Trump's not convicted.
Trump
both of them are healthy. Nobody suffers any kind of major medical malady. Who do you think will win in November?
Trump.
He will.
Trump will. Biden got too much blood on his hands, man.
It'll be time to make that money. It'll be time to make this money, man.
Biden got too much blood on his hands.
Who else says Trump? Who else says? What do you say, Pastor?
Trump has a sordid past, and everybody knows it. But you said a mouthful. He's just he presents himself like a regular Joe. Yeah, I messed up, but he lies.
Yep.
Almost every time he opens his lip. Now,
all of them.
Every time.
Well, wait a minute. I was going to vote for him, but I wrote him a letter. I don't know whether he ever read it or not. And I said, "Dear Mr. Trump," and I wish I had saved the letter. Dang. I said, "Dear Mr. Trump, you could go down as the greatest president that the United States has ever known, but you need to keep your mouth shut."
Oh, that's definitely a fact. That's definitely a fact.
And he didn't do that.
For real.
Oh, I don't. You know why? I just don't understand. I don't vote. I have never voted for a president ever, and I'll say that to.
You can't complain then.
I'm just giving an opinion on myself, But I'm prefacing it before I before I say what I'm going to say. But you think about it. Every single person, the only person that ever ran for governor, a president that I liked, was the Jimmy Carter.
I feel you. I'm with you on that one.
From Georgia. And he came in at a bad time, though. But Jimmy Carter was probably did he have some servants and some maids? Yeah, he did.
But he wasn't the status quo presidentially.
No.
And he didn't run the war machine like they wanted him to. So we got to remember that too. So he didn't run the war machine.
I wish Bobby Kennedy would have been in there.
I think he would have been great.
I was wondering to see, the older and even the other Kennedys, I was kind of wondering to see what would happen, because you had JFK that was changing stuff. I mean, it was changing, but a little bit, but he was more on the side of equality. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And Bobby,
as much as he could be.
Yeah, as much as he could be. Right. And I think Bobby was more he was more equal. He was more to the equality. And I'm not coming from where I know. I'm just coming from something that I read, seen, documentaries, historical stuff. But I see where it was going, because now he's a lawyer and he was changing up the laws where it was making all the equality come through. Mm-hmm. And so now you're siding with everybody else. It's like, nah.
That was the other reason why he got assassinated, probably by the mob.
Oh, no doubt.
For Bobby Kennedy. And in JFK, there's been stories for days and days and days and days about who killed JFK. But I'm going to go back a little bit. I'm going to go back a little bit in time.
So who do you think will win, Sam?
Yeah.
I want to get around this.
Well, I don't care much for Trump. Not Trump. I don't care much for him, but I don't care much for Biden either, because Biden's got blood in his hands too.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about his son.
His son
Cocaine
is,
head.
his son is the major culprit in the Ukrainian proxy war.
Hey,
But see, that's not his son. That's got nothing to do with him. It's kind of like Trump's son.
He's pushing
Yeah,
the button. He's pushing the button. Remember, his son. So his son is pushing the button. Joe Biden is pushing the buttons for this stuff through Obama, right? So he's sending Obama. He's sending the son over there to do work to make relationships. I mean, it's a big thing because it goes back and forth to Russia. That's all it really is. But I'm just saying. I'm not holding that against Biden. I'm not holding. So if you ask me one thing that I say, oh well, I don't care about his son doing whatever over in Ukraine, because they all gonna do it. We all got somebody in one of these Angola and Venezuela. We all got somebody down there doing some trash, right?
let's we're talking about the different branches of the law: FBI, CIA. The CIA is about as dirty as they get.
Oh, so Sam, so you don't think you don't have a person you know?
No, I don't have a horse in this race, pal.
Well, I know you don't. You don't vote, but you don't have a prediction. Like you'll tell us who you think's going to win a game, or a quarterback that's not going to be any good because he went to a small school. You predict. Huh?
Tell us, Sam. Let us know what your thoughts are.
Well, I mean, I know you don't like either, but who do you think the American people are gonna vote for? But who do you? So it comes down to the Electoral College. But who do you think will win?
I would hope, like heck, that Trump doesn't get back in.
Okay, you would prefer Biden, but who do you think will win? Don't know.
I'm not a Biden fan either.
Well, I know you don't like either, right? All right. Okay.
You already told us.
Sam is okay. So we have two Trumps. That doesn't mean you like Trump, but just means you think Trump's going to win.
Who else is running for the Democrats?
No one.
Well, that's a good point, because if a Democrat comes in and runs as a third party candidate, that's going to hurt Biden. It's not going to hurt Trump. Trump's people are locked in. They would die to vote for that guy. Okay. No independent is going to pull anything from Trump, but it would pull something from Biden. And that's what might get Trump in. I don't think Trump can beat Biden. I think if things stay as they are with no third party candidate, nobody has a stroke or a heart attack, something like that. No, I don't think Trump can beat Biden. He has too much dirt. And so middle America, the independents in middle America are going to decide. They decide every election.
They have dirt on each other.
Dirt don't stop it, man. I learned that a long time ago, that you sometimes bad news is good news, man. I'm telling you, man. Sometimes bad news just gets more publicity for you. You know what I mean? It doesn't really turn people off. I mean, it makes them interested. You know what I'm saying? So people be kind of like, okay, well, I want to know why this is going on or whatever going on. Not just, oh man, I don't like that person now. And I think
if Trump wins, we're gonna be excuse the 3-letter word, we're gonna be a sorry nation.
Bloop. I bleeped it for you. We're gonna
let the pastor get on. Let the pastor say his 3-letter word. Come on.
Nah, man. I got too much respect for my brother, man. He's the pastor first. Bleep. I got you, pastor.
This is in the Bible, so it's okay.
There we go. Yeah.
So you're about to say, I think that if one of the two candidates gets in, it will be a sorry affair. We'll go back to a sorry state, or sorry state of affairs, I should say.
Well, we ramping up in Iran. They bombed some parts of Iran, I think, today.
Yeah.
So
Yemen.
it might be. But none of us. This podcast may be over in 2 or 3 weeks.
I know, right? The way it's looking.
Hey, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, we're going pretty deep about this, talking about history, who connected. I said, oh man.
Hey man.
Oh man.
I'm just gonna make another username. I could look. I'm just gonna make a username and spoof my IP address. We're good.
Saudi Arabia has all the money, right? They're not messing with Saudi Arabia, but
they're controlled by the U.S. They're controlled by the U.S.
Point is that Iraq, Iran, they all get bombed all the time, but never Arabia.
Yeah, but see again, we're going back to proxy wars. So now we're making up something about the Houthis and the Tutsis, right? Which is in Yemen. This is Yemen, talking about their militants. They're this, and so Saudi Arabia does their bidding, just like I think Israel does the United States bidding of drama for Jordan, all the places that are quote unquote in the Middle East. I mean, we're sitting over there just, what does Iran have to do? Oh, well, they're getting nuclear weapons. Well, we have nuclear weapons. What's wrong with that? Yeah. You can't defend themselves. See, it goes back to this ideology that we're supposed to be democratic, but we not. We think we're free, but we're not free. Because you go on ahead and say something. Look, go on ahead and go on Instagram and say from the river to the sea, we'll be free, and see what happens. They will block you and deny you.
Crazy thing. See, this country is so caught up on TikTok and all this other crap. Cat Williams is spewing this crap about other people, which I believe a lot of them were Cat Williams saying. But don't nobody care. Don't nobody care about what Cat Williams saying. Don't nobody care. Now they're saying that Steve Harvey might be gay. Diddy could be gay.
Hey, Diddy is definitely gay. Have you not seen this?
And then Jay-Z, him and what's it, Beyonce might be getting divorced. Don't nobody care. Well, not in culture, we do care, but I don't care. But I'm just saying, most of our people do care about this weak stuff. It's like whatever.
Yeah, we get brainwashed with the I mean, mom used to my mom used to say this all the time, or even grandma. She says, hey, look, they always give you the distraction while they're making the play over there. And if you look at it, hey man, they're doing something over here that we don't know about, passing laws and doing this, but you know what? We got to keep this news on this war that's going on over. Don't nobody care about Ukraine? I don't. I personally don't care about Ukraine. I personally don't even care about Gaza. I care. No, I'm not going to say that. I care about it because it's humanitarian. But there's more things.
Care about the atrocity that's going on. That's what you care about. Yes.
But not the 24/7 cycle when there's more things that are going on politically.
I guess with this other question here, panel. Well, how do you all feel about Putin?
Yeah,
I like
another dictator.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know very much.
Yeah, I mean, from what I heard, pretty much he ain't nothing but a dictator. I mean, he's.
That's what they tell us. I'm just saying, this is what they tell us.
I don't know very much about him. And to answer objectively, Sam, I don't know a lot about him. His politics. Right. I do realize what is said. What is said in the U.S. media. I don't like the way that if what is said is half true, I'm not a fan. And
I just think he's really shiesty. I think he's shiesty. I think he's shady as hell.
They all shady though. They all
shady. Here's the litmus test. Here's the litmus test I applied. When that guy, that general, that mercenary general that kind of stood up against Putin.
Oh yeah, he definitely had him whacked.
Okay. And kind of caught. He whacked a bunch of Russian soldiers, and he was kind of he hurt their forces, right? And spoke out against Putin. Then Putin reined him back in, and he said, "Okay, I'm not going to fight against the Russian force anymore. I'm going to return to the Soviet to Russia." I just thought what he said, man, I wouldn't go back. I would ask for asylum in the U.S. and they'd have given it to him too. Because look, okay, what do you know? What can you tell us? Yeah, they'd have probably would have paid him, honestly. But he said, no, I'm going to go back. I said, man, that doesn't look good. So what? Two months later, his helicopter crashed. I was in Berlin when it happened, and my girlfriend and me looked at each other and said, it was in the news. he was stupid for going back. Putin killed him as fast as he could.
I said the same thing too. I was like, oh no, you tripping, bro. Like
Well,
that's why Snowden can't come back to America. Like,
Mhm.
you know that.
Gentlemen,
Who?
nobody wins the war.
Nope.
Nobody.
It's only losers.
Nobody. And we are idiots to fight each other when we are collectively need each other's help.
Right.
But
Right.
but there's individuals who like the power of control and the money.
And the money.
Well, what do you think about this?
And all you have to do is to find a group of people and get them propaganda so that they listen.
Yep.
And you got them. And they will do whatever you ask them to do.
What'd you say, Uncle?
What about the Tim Scott guy?
Which guy?
Tim Scott.
From South Carolina.
Well, I don't know about him. Dang.
He's a joke.
Which one is Tim Scott, Sam?
He is a congressional. He's in Congress.
Right. Talking about the black. South Carolina.
Oh, that's his name.
Trump. Tim Scott, Trump, and Nikki Haley. I think she understands the game. They were saying that Nikki Haley must be very disappointed because she's the one that appointed him. He was appointed to the Senate, right? When was this Trump? Was Thurman retired, or when somebody died or retired?
Yeah.
She appointed him, and then he endorsed Trump once he dropped out of the race.
He did.
I think these guys are running, to answer your question, Sam, I think these guys are running for political favor. Like, only one guy is going to win, but somebody gets to be the vice president. A bunch of somebody's, about 8 or 10 of them get cabinet appointments, right? And or, Burbage point from the Donald, if he gets back in, and even if he doesn't, and decides I'm not running anymore, but guess what? I like Tim Scott, and I like this one, and I like that one. These people, he has these guys so wired up to just kiss his behind that if he gives an endorsement or speaks highly of somebody, guess what? That's who gets the vote.
Right. Totally agree. Because you keep him in the media, and this is
in the media, but also, if my demigod likes you, then I do too.
Yeah, which is crazy.
I had an opportunity to go to DC with Paul Wellstone when he got elected, and I refused. And he had high respect for me ever since then, because
Wellstone's out of Minnesota, is that right?
Yeah, I could have. He was killed in an airplane crash. And Jesse did sort of a eulogy for him in the arena, but I could have gone with him because I was part of that effort to elect Dukakis. Now I have some good stories about my political career.
Wait,
and when I found out, I don't like politics. Now but I vote, Sam. I do vote.
Sam, I vote.
But I don't like politics because it's a dirty game. And you're right. If whoever gets in, if I'm next to you, I want an apartment. And that's what happens with these guys when they get up there. Who they get? They get their friends and the people who like them.
They get their homies. They get their homies. Let me ask you something, Pastor.
I would do that for you guys if I get to be a billionaire. I'll go. Hey, I'm gonna get my partners.
Well, I'll take a little chunk of change. I'll take a chunk of change. I'll take a chunk of change. Let me ask you something, Pastor, because you've been in. You just mentioned something about Mike Dukakis, which probably our young audience doesn't know anything about Mike Dukakis and what kind of person he really was. Because he gets that. I think he gets that line of, he was ahead of his time. I think, to be honest, I think he was ahead of his time.
Well, he's elected governor of Massachusetts, and quite frankly, I know he's dead now, but I had very personal conversations with Dukakis and his wife, back in the day.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at this little short man, and I'm going, how did they elect this guy? I spent a half hour talking to him in a big $1,000 plate luncheon.
Dang.
Mhm.
He wasn't a people guy at all.
Mm.
I'm going, and I was the chairman of the Minnesota Rainbow Coalition back then. Reluctantly, I didn't want to do it, but I got into it in a roundabout way, and so I knew Jesse Jackson pretty well too.
Dang.
I wouldn't vote for him either.
No.
No.
And that
What?
is, I gotta cut this short now because it's time for us to go now.
Okay.
But we'll be back. We'll be back next Saturday. Next Saturday, we're gonna do the same show, same time for everyone. Please subscribe to this show, Big Sam and Nephews. Please subscribe to the show. I am Big Sam.
We are the nephews. Come on, Tyland. We're the nephews.
Nephews. Hey, I mean,
We're the oddballs.
I want to thank Dr. Tom, who's part of our panel. I want to thank Nathan's up the road from me up in Sacramento. Good guy. Tyland's another good guy. Tyland is he's my nephew.
yes. Yes. Ooh, ooh.
He's the nephew.
And Javier, you cannot do this show without Javier.
Okay.
He's the man that makes it all happen, right? So, but we're going to go on. We come on every week. Next Saturday, we'll be back on the same time. We should just change the date because the Super Bowl is Sunday.
Yeah, I got a party to go to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, everybody.
Yeah. I'm getting drunk. No, I'm not.
So
Real quick.
Who you picking?
That's 15
49ers.
seconds. Who you got, Pastor? Who you got in the game?
Oh.
Minnesota's close to Kansas,
Come on, man.
so I guess
Mute.
Goes with City. How about Tyler? Who you got?
Said proximity.
Who you got, Tyler?
Hey, man. Oh.
Come on, dog. Well, you're gonna be off the nephew list right now if you don't pick right.
No,
Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now. Hey,
not who you want. Who do you think?
what sealed my decision is Taylor Swift. I'm going with 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
That might
Okay.
work.
What about it up here?
Oh, come on.
What about
man.
it?
Lions, though.
Well, I think I know what you're going to say, but who do you think? Not who do you want?
It's all about the 49ers. It's all about the 49ers.
All right, Sam, Big Sam.
He got the cap on.
Yeah. He better not say nothing
cap on?
else.
He
No,
got the cap, yeah.
Awesome.
no.
Who do you think? Not who do you like?
No, I'm gonna tell you.
All right.
All this stuff is already fixed. This year, Niners are gonna win.
Who?
What?
Kansas City, the Niners are gonna win.
Okay. There we go. I like the fixes in place.
All right.
I'm putting my money
Now
on.
I have the final answer. I have
All
the final answer. This is considered
Yes,
the
sir.
greatest
I'm
answer.
waiting.
This is the greatest answer in all of show business history.
All
The
right.
final answer is I don't want to jinx them. Later, guys.
Until we tune in next time.
Next week.
I want to thank everybody coming on. I want to thank Pastor Tom, Nathan Marlow from Sacramento, Tyland from Minnesota. Oh, Pastor Tom right outside of Dallas. Right outside of Dallas.
There he is. There it is.
All right. Good night.
We out of here.
So we're gone. I am.
All right, buddy. Bless you.